It's Dorm Room Sports Chat. I'm your host, Joey Petrello. With Go AZ Cats reporters Evan Murray and Danny Passavoy. Along with the color commentary man for Arizona Wildcat Hockey, Nick Nolenberg. This is Dorm Room Sports Chat. Welcome to episode 2 of this very young season of Dorm Room Sports Chat, and thanks for tuning in. I'm your host, Joey Petrello, and I'm once again joined by Go AZ Cats reporters Danny Passavoy and Evan Murray, along with the color commentator for Wildcat Hockey, Nick Nolenberger. Tonight, our analysts are going to discuss the recent struggles of Arizona basketball, Arizona baseball's 3-0 start. We're going to run down the cat scratch, fill in the blank, and finish with a game of 30 seconds. All right, so guys, buzz about how the number 9 Arizona basketball team is growing louder by the day in Tucson. And while the Wildcats did win earlier today, regardless, they have lost the past 2 out of 3. And those losses were to schools that they probably shouldn't have lost to. So Evan, what seems to be the problem here? Is it a specific player? Is it coaching? What is it?
Well, there is a lot of problems here, actually. One, I think it starts off with there is something wrong with the chemistry here. And I don't know what it is, but they're not the team that was starting earlier in the season. They just seem off, and they're not, even as little things as, getting into a huddle before, during, a free throw or things like that, are things that we're kind of missing now. Also, Mark Lyons had a good game, 18 points, 5 assists, but 5 turnovers. So I'm thinking we're missing a point guard. And Nick Johnson, I don't know where he's gone during conference play, but he had 14 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists, which isn't a bad. He covered the stat line, but as far as being aggressive and showing that he's this NBA player, it's definitely not doing it for me.
For me, it's a lot about kind of creating creative offense. And the Wildcats, what they do is they'll pass around the perimeter. No one will really drive. They'll have Caleb down low, just kind of creating space, causing mayhem down low so there's not a ton of room to drive. And then they'll just pass around the perimeter and someone will put up a 3 and it'll either go in or not.
Yep.
And a lot of times, as of right now, it's really not going in at all. So I think for me, it's creativity on offense that's just not flowing right now for the Wildcats.
And I think that has a lot to do with our point guard. And not to mention, you mentioned coaching, and I think there is kind of a problem. We had Sean Miller and Buck Richardson are the 2 guys who have played college basketball. And it seems to be almost presenting this problem. And there's no big man coach. Those 2 were point guards. I think Caleb's having a hard time getting the ball. And I don't know if that's more Mark Lyons or I don't know if it's more coaching. But I don't think they're distributing to the big guys as well as they should be. But
Did you see what Angelo Chol was doing in the early game against Cal? That was some of the best post moves we have seen a center do this entire season.
Yep.
He was spinning with his left foot, getting up with his left hand over the defense, scoring, capitalizing, dunking. Stuff that we don't see a lot from the center so far this season. And I was shocked because,
he even had a few spin moves.
Exactly.
I know, he's getting creative in there.
He was actually working, driving to the paint, spinning, and getting up with his left hand to the point where the defender had no chance to defend it. The left-handed hook is probably the hardest shot to defend in basketball. So I think it's partly to the reason that there's no big offensive-minded center coach on the Wildcats team who could really teach Caleb those moves, teach Chol those moves. And I think that's going to be a pretty big problem headed down the stretch once they face these pretty experienced teams.
And I'm also thinking, there's a reason why Brandon Ashley got taken out of the starting lineup. Clearly, I think he went in this game during Utah and proved that he wanted to be back in the starting lineup with 10 points and 4 rebounds. He seems to get in foul trouble really easily, but that kind of presents an issue as well. Obviously he got less minutes during Colorado as well, so chemistry just seems off to me. I don't know what it is, but I don't like it.
I have no problem if Brandon Ashley is getting in foul trouble, but it's because he's being aggressive.
Yeah.
And
I'm with you there.
That's what I like so much about Brandon Ashley. When he is playing aggressively on offense, he's driving to the hoop, creating his own shot, getting through the man, driving and dishing, stuff that point guard is supposed to do.
Right.
But it's Brandon Ashley's right now, and I love that. And if he gets in foul trouble for that, so be it. But I love when he's playing aggressively, but some games he just comes off pretty passive.
Yep.
And
I want
to
to see the
him
Brandon
have 6
Ashley
points, 4 rebounds, stuff
Yeah.
that's not going to really help the team.
Yeah, I want to see the Brandon Ashley that played against ASU, because that Brandon Ashley, not only did he play well offensively, but defense was insane.
All right, well, you guys brought up stats from the game that was earlier today, and Nick, the saying goes that a win is a win, but how satisfied can this team be after beating the worst team in the Pac-12 by just 4 points?
Well, Joey, I mean, they're going to take it at this point. There's a little bit of anxiety coming through. You're going to be able to tell just walking through campus that there's a little bit of rumbling. Students and fans are getting a little bit nervous right now. It's not a good time to be sputtering. We're going to take the win right now. It was a close one. It wasn't pretty, but, the Wildcats, they needed that. It's getting a little nervous as we're heading towards that Pac-12 tournament for the Cats. I mean, they're not looking too sharp, and, Coach Miller's going to have to put it to his boys this week in practice.
At this point, a win is a win, yes, but it would be great to see the number 9 team in the country have a big win.
Yeah.
That's what they need. They don't need these 4-point wins. Right now, they have to have them to stay kind of current in college basketball news.
Right.
But it's about time a team that's supposed to be number 9 in the country has a 15-point win, has a 20-point win, especially against a team like Utah, against a team like Washington State. You have to come out fired from the get-go, and the Wildcats just don't do that.
Yeah, to me, they're coming out pretty flat. And I said before the Utah game, if they don't win this game by 10 points, there is problems. And that's exactly, they are going to the three-point line a lot, and I'm not understanding it because Mark Lyons is best when he's driving to the basket. They shot 10% in the second half at the three-point line, past the three-point line, and altogether in the game, 27%. I'm not okay with that, and I don't know where the constant three-point contest is coming from, but I think it's all about the drive at this point, and they need to just be scoring in the paint. And that's what Mark Lyons is best at anyways.
Well, you mentioned it last weekend when we were saying our most overrated teams. I mean, you nailed it as far as Arizona. I mean, there's no chemistry right now. They're frustrating to watch. Like you mentioned, Danny, too. It's like when they're bringing the basketball up to the floor trying to offensively, they're just getting stuck at the top. There's no flow. No one's moving. It seems like there's a lot of stagnant play. And it's frustrating. It's really hard to watch, and it's leading to losses right now. So, yeah, Cats got to get it going for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Danny, be an optimist here. As hard as this may be, what's a ray of hope right now for Arizona basketball's chances to actually come out and be a threat in the NCAA tournament?
Your ray of hope is the early season. You beat a team like Florida. You beat a team like San Diego State. You are capable of beating the top teams in college basketball. You beat Miami by 20. Yep. You can do it. Solomon Hill can be the best player in the Pac-12. Brandon Ashley can be the best freshman in the Pac-12 if he's playing aggressively, in my opinion. So they have everything there.
They have the tools.
They just need to click at this point. And it's kind of discerning to see that they're not clicking this late in the season.
It's weird that it was at the beginning because normally you're waiting for your team to gel together, and we saw that in the early season. And now we're just seeing this team almost come apart. And it's frustrating to watch because you saw the team's potential. And then, so honestly, I don't know if we have to stick them all in a room together.
Yeah, well, okay, that's another thing. Why do you guys think that their chemistry fell apart? I see that too, but I can't really seem to quite figure out what happened to it.
No one really knows what happened to the chemistry, but teams with great chemistry, when someone falls down on the court, every single player sprints over there. And they are there to help the player up and to make sure no one is around them on the other team. And you know what? You'll see Kevin Parham run over there. You'll see Angelo Troll run over there. But you don't see the entire team run over there like the great teams in college basketball do. You just don't see that.
So who do we think is almost burdening this team now?
It could be a few different people at this point.
Because I'm not trying to point fingers, but
Yeah,
who dropped off in conference play? Nick Johnson. I don't know. I don't think he is the spell of all this, but I think it's also frustrating for the big guys to not be able to get the ball. And so I think it's almost Mark Lyons in a way too, because how frustrating would it be if you know that you're talented, but you're not getting the ball? So I just think that it's frustrations on both ends of a few players, and that's what's
I think a part of it could be too, like, they come out of the gates, they're like, great, we're one of the best teams in college basketball. We beat Florida, we beat Miami, we beat San Diego State, and then they lost to Oregon, and then they got like demolished in the first half by UCLA, and they're starting to realize, like, maybe we're not as good of a team as we thought we were.
Well, definitely. At the start of the year, they're kind of, at the start of the year, everybody's kind of feeling out, and they're relying on talent. They're beating good teams, like you mentioned, San Diego State, Miami, Florida. But once it gets later in the season, like you mentioned, you have to have that chemistry. I don't know if they ever had it all year, if they were just winning games off talent, because it seemed like that. These games were close, and they never blew anybody out. There's no impressive wins as far as the scoreboard. They were winning the games, but now we're getting later in the season. It's all about the team has to gel, and we've been waiting for it all season, and it just has not happened. So
you make a good point, because it's easy to get along when everybody's winning, but when you lose a few games and you're blaming other people, I don't know what's going on in the locker room, but I can guess that losing is just almost breaking this team apart, and they need to figure out how to put it back together.
All right, well, thanks for the insight, guys. Don't leave us just yet, because next we're going to talk about Arizona baseball's opening weekend. You're watching Dorm Room Sports Chat on UATV3.
I'm Derek Williams, the former U of A Wildcat. You're watching UATV. Don't change the channel.
People may tune out someone they see on a median trying to sell newspapers.
Those extra few hours of having to swipe your cat card to get in at night might be keeping non-U of A students out of the library.
And while some are traveling to Mexico for cheaper gas, others are forced to pay those high prices at the pump.
Students and parents are always invited to come cheer on the Wildcats.
We'll see you back here next week for another edition of Wildcats.
Welcome back to DRSC, and thanks for watching. The number 24 Arizona baseball team closed the book of their opening weekend with a sweep of Coppin State. And so, Evan, like we were just talking about with Arizona basketball, a win is a win, but the game earlier today was way too close for comfort, considering the scores of Friday and Saturday night's contests were blowouts. What happened today?
Well, I think it had a lot to do with the pitching, because, Manthe struggled with his control after 4 runs. He was pulled out. They put in Tyler Hale. He couldn't get it done either. Altogether, they went through 5 pitchers. It was just as far as pitching goes, I think that was their struggle today.
Yeah, they really struggled early in the game, finding location, finding fastball location, which was pretty much what Andy Lopez has preached, at least through the fall camp and into the spring. They gave up a huge 5-run inning to the Eagles. David Hamlet, one of the Eagles, had an inside the park grand slam, something that you'll almost never see. So they tied the game up at 9. Once they brought out Hale, they brought in Augie Bill, 6'9" lefty, shut down the Eagles. From then on, Crawford Troop closed it out. But it was a little frightening in the beginning. 9 runs to the Eagles, who were 1-53 last year, 0-27 on the road. Not a good sign, but overall an excellent weekend for the Wildcats, winning 16-0 the first game, 14-1 on Saturday. Overall, pretty great weekend.
All right, so Nick, Evan just brought up Steven Manthe and the poor start he made. The stats from today are as followed: 3 innings, 4 earned runs, 2 walks, and a strikeout. So Is it already time to pull him from the rotation?
No, it's not. It's too early in the season. You got to give him a little bit of break, little nerves. James Ferris was the Sunday starter last year. Of course, he's moving up to Saturday. So he's just, Manthi's just trying to get comfortable, getting that first start of the season. Of course, it wasn't ideal. He was having trouble locating that fastball. You can't locate the fastball. It's going to have problems with the other pitches as well. So it wasn't an ideal start for him, but they end up getting the win. So we'll see what happens next Sunday. If he struggles, then maybe they're going to have to look at that Sunday starter position.
Manthi's a veteran out of the pen. Pitched 23 appearances last year. Pitched pretty well. This is his first weekend start ever. So for him to come out, 4 earned runs today. Even Andy Lopez after the game said, we're going to give him another shot. However, the competition is very hot for the Sunday start position. And if he doesn't step up right away, that's going to go to a guy like Nick Cunningham. That's going to go to a guy like Tyler Crawford. Maybe even Nathan Bannister, Cody Moffitt, 2 freshmen this year who have pitched very well in the spring camp. Steven Manthe is a very good pitcher. He's got nasty stuff. He's got a pretty good fastball. But he's having a lot of difficulty today locating his fastball. And for Andy Lopez, that's not going to be okay for a little while. This is a championship team. This is a championship caliber team. And if he can't figure it out in his next start, he's going to be surely replaced at the Sunday position.
All right, so Danny, on a brighter note, the team batting average for the weekend was 376, not too shabby. Which offensive player stood out to you the most right from the get-go?
God, there were so many guys who stood out this weekend. They scored over 10 runs in each game. Riley Moore getting 3-2, 2-2 every at-bat, finding pitches that he could hit. Gone on like 5 times yesterday. Had a few RBIs in the first game and today's game. This guy is a real deal. Also, guys like Johnny Field had 5 RBIs the first game. Joseph Maggi had 2 RBIs today and scored twice on errors by the Eagles. But you also have guys like Trent Gilbert finding gaps, Brandon Dixon finding gaps, Kevin Newman, Ryan Kozio both getting their first RBIs as Wildcats. This Wildcat lineup is extremely potent, much better than people probably anticipated that they'd be this season, even after losing that kind of power. Also, you have guys like Sam Paris, JC transfer with a lot of power. This team is very good. They're very good offensively. They do everything right. They hit and run. They bunt. They sacrifice. This Wildcat lineup is pretty good. Overall, Riley Moore, Johnny Field probably had the best weekend, but no complaints, really. And
you know what I also liked is just how patient the team is. I also noticed when I was watching them, they don't swing at anything. They are very patient hitters, and they take their walks. I believe, I don't know.
23 walks.
23 total walks this weekend.
Yeah. Also 13 hit by pitch batters.
Yeah.
So a lot of freebies for the Wildcats.
Who was it that got hit 3 times in one game?
Scott Kingery, the freshman, tied a Arizona baseball record in his first game, 3 hit by pitches in one game. So
ridiculous.
He found that pretty funny after the game.
All right, good stuff, guys. Stick around because up next we'll run down the cat scratch. You are watching Dorman Sports Chat on UATV3.
All right, David Hasselhoff, the Hawk. Get Hawk with UATV. Stay tuned. Don't change the dial.
The life I lead is enough of a dog. I may have fleas, but I run a yard. I see those clones looking down on me, but unlike those clones, this dog is free. Oh Lord, it's a dog's life. Oh Lord, it's a dog's life, dog's life. Oh Lord, it's a dog's life.
Hey folks, and welcome back to DRSC. We now present the Cat Scratch. Earlier today, there was a Pac-12 men's basketball action between the number 9 Arizona men's basketball team and Utah. Mark Lyons led the team with 18 points in the 68-64 road win. The 24th-ranked baseball team is off to a 3-0 start after completing a home sweep over Coppin State earlier today with a 13-9 win. He didn't start the game, but Augie Bill was credited the W after tossing 6.2 scoreless innings. Also, the number 16 softball team completed its 5-0 sweep of the Hillenbrand Invitational with a 5-inning, 13-1 beatdown over Utah State. Their record now stands at 8-2. And finally, the men's tennis team picked up their 6th win of the season today with a 7-0 clobbering, or 7-love rather, clobbering of UC Riverside at home. All right, so analysts, time to place a little bit of fill in the blank here. So fill in this blank for me. The winner of the Pac-12 tournament this year will be
UCLA. I'd say UCLA because this team is a lot like Arizona in a way. They have a lot of talent, and they haven't seemed to gel. They're very inconsistent. Ben Howland even said that they obviously can't handle wins very well because they came to Arizona and beat Arizona, but then went and lost to ASU by 18 points. So they're very inconsistent, but if they get rolling, I really think that they have a chance to win this Pac-12 tournament. Larry Drew is a great point guard. Kyle Anderson is actually, he's great. He had, against Stanford, he had 13 rebounds and 18 points. That's impressive. And I think if everybody steps up on that team, I think that they could really give it to Arizona, because I think Arizona will be who plays against them in the Pac-12 tournament championship.
It's really hard to tell who's going to win the tournament because it really matters who gets hot at the right time. Right. I think teams like Colorado can win it. Colorado has all the tools, Xavier Johnson, Spencer Dinwiddie, very good players. And if they get hot, Andre Roberson, if they get hot, they can make a run like they did last
Chen.
year. Sabatino Chen. But you also have teams like Cal with Crabbe. Crabbe probably the best player in the Pac-12.
Now on the bubble.
The NBA's best prospect from the Pac-12, in my opinion. Yeah. If he gets hot, Cal can make a run in the Pac-12 tournament. Overall, though, I think Arizona ends up winning it. Arizona, the best overall team. And like you said earlier, they can win based just off talent.
Right.
And right now, their talent is barely getting them by. But if they are able to click towards the latter part of the season...
and I know it doesn't really make it that big of a difference, but ASU is our last game. If we win that, that's almost a game where in a rivalry, that's when your team almost should come together. So I agree with you in the sense that I don't think that there is one Pac-12 team that stands out specifically. So I think I agree with you too. It's kind of up in the air between a lot of teams because a lot of teams have kind of almost random talent that end up taking over a game or whatever the case. So
yeah, these tournaments are all about momentum. I got to choose Colorado, though. Colorado plays us tough. They're a veteran team. They won it last year. They're going to play everybody tough in the tournament. They always play us tough. We sure hope we aren't going to run into them. But like you mentioned, the Cats, they bar none, they're the most talented team in the Pac-12. I think everybody recognizes that. It's can they get hot at the right time? Can they try to rally this season together? And, that is a big game, that last game of the season against Arizona State, like you mentioned. Rivalry game, you get that momentum going. Momentum really goes a long way, but we will see. I definitely think Colorado is going to give everybody a run for the money.
For Arizona baseball in 2012, their last series was against ASU. They beat ASU in the final game of this series to win a share of the Pac-12 championship.
Let's hope they go hand in hand.
Didn't lose in the postseason, so.
We'll see.
Nice. Thanks, analysts. When we return, we're going to close the episode with a quick game of 30 seconds. Remember, you are watching Dorm Room Sports Chat on UATV3.
Come game time, pressure falls on the shoulders of this season's drum major.
For an entire week, there's golfing, food, drinks, and entertainment that doesn't stop when the sun goes down.
If you are not yet registered to vote, here's what an Arizona voter registration form looks like.
Bundle up, Wildcats, winter is almost here. Reporting from the UA Mall for Wildcats, I'm Shay Sorensen.
All right, time for a quick game of 30 seconds where Evan, Nick, and Danny each have themselves 30 seconds to voice one of their opinions about any topic in sports. So Evan has a special surprise for us. I have no idea what's coming here, and you're leading off, Evan, so I guess take it away.
All right, Harlem Shake. Hit it, Greg.
Harlem Shake. Con los terroristas.
There you guys go.
All righty. Nice.
I hope you guys enjoyed it.
Nick, you're up. You're up, bud. Nick.
Well, that was disturbing. But I'm going to talk about hockey. Of course, it's the last weekend of hockey. I always got a shout out for the hockey team.
Yeah.
But last weekend, unfortunately, if you follow the team pretty close, we were held out of the national tournament by just one spot they had. On Wednesday night, they had a live showcase, and we were the last team not to make it. It's another disappointing season for the Cats. Fortunately, this weekend we have 2 more games. Hopefully, you guys will come out and check it out. It's 7:30 on Friday and Saturday night. So, #1 team in the country, Arizona State's going to come into town. Should be a rowdy crowd. Try to end the season, maybe end it off on a good note.
Yep, and those games are against ASU, and that's on the 22nd and 23rd. Nick and I will have the call, of course, on live stream as usual. Not to advertise myself, but Danny, you're up. Slam the door.
So like Nick, I'm going to actually talk about something relevant. Arizona baseball started off the season 3-0. They played Coppin State, who went 1-53 last year. They jumped out 16-0 on opening night. Connor Wade pitched 6 2/3 scoreless innings, had a bunch of strikeouts. James Ferris came in the next day, pitched 8 innings, almost went the entire game. He probably would have if he didn't have a pitch count on him. An excellent weekend of Arizona baseball, really showing what the reigning national champions could kind of live up to this season.
All right, well, that's some good stuff there, guys. Evan, very interesting choice.
Rock chalk.
And Nick, of course, hockey does matter, so just want to say that. And
I wasn't bashing Nick. I said, like Nick, I'm talking about something relevant.
Oh.
So I'm bashing Evan.
The Harlem Shake was real. I hope everybody. I know everyone liked it. That was entertaining.
All right. Nice. Okay. For our analysts, I'm Joey Petrello. Thanks for watching us, and remember, you're watching Dorman Sports Chat on UATV Channel 3. Check us out again next week. We'll be here same time, same place. See ya. The guy.